An American investigative journalist who claims that swine flu strains have been engineered in 2 universities in the US and Canada says they've been deliberately designed to resist vaccines. Wayne Madsen also says that his so-called nightmare scenario in which swine flu could mutate with bird flu has been suppressed by the World Health Organization for political reasons. Wayne, what exactly is your accusation then? Are you saying that swine flu was actually manufactured? Why on earth would anyone want to do that, and why? What, and who?
Well, there's a variety of reasons for that. One is, of course, that it would increase sales for new vaccine manufacturers in the pharmaceutical industry. The other would be to just create this worldwide crisis. We know a lot of people thrive economically on crisis situations. I reported in May that after speaking to people who are researching, these are scientists researching this new hybrid flu, that it was basically engineered from genetic material taken from a dead Inuit woman who died of the 1918 pandemic, also known as the Spanish flu. It was determined that this particular flu was gene spliced from 2 forms of human flu, 2 forms of swine flu, and 1 form of human flu. The problem is when they looked at the molecular clock, they determined that it was rapidly mutating in humans.
Dr. Andrew Gibbs is the scientist in question. His near 4-decade career in virology included research that led to the invention of the antiviral Tamiflu. Professor Gibbs joins us from Canberra in the Australian Capital Territory today. Dr. Gibbs, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. You mean that this was a man-made scenario and had nothing to do with swine, had nothing to do with the pigs?
One of them that I believe should be considered is just what you've outlined. We confirm exactly. Namely, this is a new flu. It's only just recently emerged. But you may know that flu has 8 genes. And it turns out that 6 of those genes came from viruses that were almost certainly very closely related to other viruses found in pigs in North America, whereas 2 of its genes came from swine viruses found in Eurasia, but hadn't previously been found else other than in Eurasia, certainly not in North America. But each one of those 8 genes, instead of just evolving at roughly the same sort of rate as all the genes related to it, they had actually speeded up at some time in the past before we got them. The ones that are in the new flu have been going along at about 3 times the rate of those in influenza. And it's not just one of them, it's all 8 of those genes, including the 2 from Eurasia.
The problem is when they looked at the molecular clock of this enzyme, they determined that it was rapidly mutating in humans. The problem with that is, of course, any new mutated version of this particular virus would be immune to any vaccine already created to handle the previous type of virus.
Meanwhile, if suspected swine flu cases in South Korea turn out to be real, then Asia could face an epidemic. That's coming from a Hong Kong microbiology expert who claims that genes in the flu have already mutated, adding extra unpredictability to the problem.
Yeah, this is very similar to the 1918 virus. The 1918 virus actually, like this one, it started. There was a bit of a surge in the spring of 1918. Then, at the end of September, in October, it peaked in a very big way.
Let me just interrupt you there. You're saying that this virus could actually be deliberately made to be vaccine-proof. I mean, how can I be sure of that?
Well, the research community has determined this, and it would seem that with the feeling that this could have been genetically engineered on purpose, that this begs of a FBI and Royal Canadian Mounted Police investigation.
Jane briefly is an Austrian journalist. She filed criminal charges against the World Health Organization, the United Nations, and several high-ranking government and corporate officials concerning what she is considering bioterrorism. I guess she was also fired from her job.
And this is really the focus of my various criminal charges, and they started in April in Austria. I filed charges at the state prosecutor here in Vienna, and the police are investigating Baxter because Baxter was involved in activities that clearly showed a criminal intent. They were caught contaminating 72 kilos of vaccine material with live bird flu virus, a virus that was incidentally supplied by WHO, and then distributing it with a false label to 16 laboratories in 4 countries. And if it had not been caught by a lab technician in the Czech Republic, it would have sparked a pandemic. So the criminal intent of Baxter is, I think, quite clearly established by the facts, indeed, in the public domain. All I did was put them together. And that is why I think people are rightly concerned about this whole move by companies like Baxter, who have a huge influence on WHO and the World Health Organization, to force all entire populations around the world to take these very vaccinations.
This attempt to trigger a pandemic failed because of the alertness of people in the Czech Republic who detected it in a laboratory in biotest. However, it has now turned out that Baxter still has at least a large amount of that 72 kilos of bird flu, and we're coming to a point where we have only perhaps a few weeks until the government here in Austria and other governments around the world intend to start injecting people with so-called swine flu vaccine material, which we have every reason to fear is going to be a big hazard to our health and has been designed to be a hazard to our health, even if it isn't contaminated with the live bird flu virus, as it might well be. Well, unfortunately, we have seen how, in spite of mounting and growing protests in the USA and now in Europe, the latest polls show that 29% of the Germans are categorically going to refuse the swine flu vaccine. In spite of all that, the governments are pressing ahead relentlessly. WHO is pushing with tremendous determination this unwanted, unnecessary and dangerous program on us, and it's coming in just a few weeks. However, if it turns out that hundreds of thousands and millions refuse to go, then they cannot carry it through. And that's why it's important for every single person to say no and not to go along with it. So my message that I want to give to people, if I can give any message, is that time is running short, that we all of us now have to recognize the scale of the threat and danger to us individually and collectively, and we need to take steps and organize to stop this mass vaccination program as soon as possible.